Good afternoon. This is Robert Pomperian, the Ayer Town Manager. And this is the Capital Planning Committee meeting for Tuesday, December 1st, 2020 at 4 p.m. This is an open session remote participation meeting. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Baker issued an emergency order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 8 and on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by following the call-in information on the bottom of the live broadcast screen. For the Zoom meeting information relating to remote participation, please contact Cindy Knox, IT Director at cknox@ayer.ma.us or at 978-772-8252 prior to the meeting. For the public's benefit, I'll introduce the members of the Capital Planning Committee. We have Mr. James Stephen, Mr. Pat Diamond, Chair of the FinCom, Mr. Richard Scotchless, Ms. Lisa Gabri, the Finance Manager. I'm Robert Pomperian, the Town Manager. We are expecting Mr. Jim Pinard, member of the committee, and Selectman Hood, a Selectman representative of the committee, should be here momentarily, but we do have a quorum. The first item for the committee is the review and approval of the previous meeting minutes from when we last met on November 17th. I sent those draft minutes out. Does anybody have any edits or questions or any changes? And if not, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Robert, I move we approve those minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made by Pat Diamond and seconded by James Stephen to approve the minutes. Any discussion on the motion?
I do have a question though.
Yes.
I heard that the next time we do this, you're not going to read the speech. You're going to give it with your eyes closed.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that memo.
Oh.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded, made by Pat Diamond, seconded by James Stephen, and a roll call vote. James Stephen,
Yes.
Lisa Gabri,
Yes.
Rich Scotchless,
Yes.
Pat Diamond,
Yes.
and Robert Pomperian says aye. So the minutes are accepted. Our next item, we have with us this afternoon, Superintendent of Public Works, Mark Wetzel, and also the Town Engineer, Mr. Dan Van Schalwick. And we're going to have a review and discussion of the Department of Public Works FY22 capital requests. The committee should have the capital requests were submitted to you prior. They're also available on the town's website. And we'll Mark, I think, as he usually does, we'll have a presentation, sort of do an overview. As I mentioned, we do have a hard stop at 5:15 for today, and we do want to leave some time to also schedule the next meeting and any new business. So
Actually, your email said hard stop at 5:30.
Okay, yeah, 5:30. So we gotta, so
5:15 is fine.
is a question, Sarah Withy?
I just want to make sure I have the right document.
Yep,
Does it say FY 2022 5-year capital budget?
correct.
Okay.
That's the capital plan submitted. And then if Superintendent Wetzel has a presentation, when that presentation is completed, we would get that material on the website as well. So with that, we'll turn it over to Superintendent Wetzel and the Town Engineer, Dan Van Schalwick. Mark.
Thanks. I am going to share my screen and make sure everyone can, let's go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Now let's hope it works. There we go. So, you know, we've been doing this for a few years now. Some of your old timers on the committee probably have this memorized also, like Robert does. But, you know, basically our capital improvement plan, our objectives are to commit to the ongoing maintenance and repair of our capital assets and the infrastructure of the town. The 5-year capital plan that we present, we do a 5-year projection and we kind of modify it every year, move stuff around a little bit to try to balance things out, as well as take advantage of grant programs and adjust for schedules of other projects. So I'll keep this moving right along. One of the interesting things with the capital project criteria is we don't just do things that we need to do, but we do prioritize them that way. So for instance, I have listed here what our criteria is for developing a capital project. Regulatory requirements are the top priority. There's certain things that we have to do. You know, we're a highly regulated utility with municipal water supply and wastewater disposal. A couple of examples of that would be, for instance, we've been committed to building 2 very expensive water treatment plants to remove PFAS. 4 years ago, we didn't even dream of doing that, but that's a regulatory requirement, and we also want to protect the public health by doing that. We also want to maintain a level of service. A lot of the projects we have are related to making sure our roads and sidewalks are maintained, that we can provide reliable water supply and wastewater disposal. We've also done a lot of improvements in the last 8 years to reduce our operating costs. Putting in, for instance, we put in a new UV disinfection system at the wastewater plant that drastically reduced the electrical cost. We've done a lot of improvements to other divisions and facilities that have reduced our electric costs significantly. As well as when we're talking about new vehicles and equipment, you know, if we have a truck that's 20 years old that we have to keep putting a lot of money into to repair it, then it's just, worth it to start looking at should we replace that. We're also implementing resiliency and sustainability in our infrastructure. We know with climate change, we're starting to see more severe storms, more extremes, and we have to make sure that our infrastructure can sustain those types of things. We look at grant funding opportunities, and that factors in and promoting economic development. And you'll see as we move through the capital plan how all these criteria fit in. But the main goal of Public Works is to improve the town of Ayer. So some of the capital issues that we factored in are with the COVID-19 impacts and also related to hopefully my retirement coming up next summer. We've reduced our capital plan as much as we can while still maintaining some of the infrastructure improvement projects that we've started to do on a consistent basis. Our water pipes are 115 years old. Our sewer pipes are 70 years old. Drainage pipes, you'll see we have a grant application in for looking at drainage pipes, but they're all kind of a hodgepodge of materials, ages, sizes. We have bridges and culverts that are in poor condition. We have an old wastewater treatment plant that we've been fortunate enough to be upgrading through the capital plan. We've started doing highway garage and DPW operations center improvements, and our main street we're working on upgrading the downtown area. Our road and sidewalk improvements have been primarily funded with Chapter 90 money, and we've also been successful in getting an annual capital budget and grants to do some of these. If anyone hasn't been down there on School Street, we just finished a sidewalk project fully grant funded by the state Complete Streets program. So we have a new sidewalk that goes from East Main Street down to Peroni Park. Some of our capital issues, the PFAS contamination, the improvements are well underway, but it has sucked a lot of time from the DPW, as well as looking at our capital and operating budgets over the last few years. We have a new wastewater discharge permit that should be issued in a matter of months. A lot of the wastewater treatment plant upgrades are related to that. We also have a requirement to reduce our inflow infiltration in our collection system. We have a new stormwater permit was issued in 2018, and that has specific requirements that we have to address as part of the capital plan. As I mentioned before, we apply for grants as much as possible. We've been pretty successful in getting grants, and one of the things that we do with these projects was we do a lot of the in-house design. For instance, the School Street project was, I think we got a grant of about $200,000 to do that, and Dan did all the engineering on it, the bidding on it, and the construction administration on it, which saves about 15 to 20% of the project cost. So what did we do last year? I know I sent you for your last meeting a list of the status of the projects, but we replaced the 100-year-old water main and the drainage system on High Street, getting that ready to be paved this coming spring. We finished phase 3 of Washington Street improvements. We put in new curbing, new sidewalks, repaved the street. I think now Washington Street looks pretty good. It's all ready to go. We did a short-term pavement of Main Street and striped out some parking and crosswalks. That's a long-term improvement project that's in the design phase that we approved money for last year to work on the design. We purchased a new front-end loader. I was the first one to get to drive it, even though I don't have the correct license. But yeah, let me drive it. Let me drive it to the garage anyway. We replaced 9 streetlights on Main Street. I mentioned the new School Street sidewalk. We started the East Main Street reconstruction project. Mass DOT is in charge of that, but we did all of the design and permitting and got it right up to ready to be bid. And that's about a $3.5 million project that Mass DOT is paying for. We replaced drainage piping on Willard Street. We constructed a rain garden on Oak Ridge. We've started construction on the Groton Shirley Road water and sewer improvements. I think the water main is about 2/3 done. And then they'll, once they finish that, they'll go back and start doing the sewer. That'll be finished in the spring, and then repaving the road also in the spring. The Grove Pond PFAS treatment plant is completed and in operation. We have a couple little bugs we're working out. This was the first of its type constructed in the state. It might have been probably the first of its size and type in the U.S. So obviously we had a couple little things that we hadn't anticipated, but it is up and running and looks pretty good. The Spec Pond Wellfield PFAS treatment plant has started construction. They're moving right along down there. We replaced the filter media at Grove Pond Water Treatment Plant to make sure we could efficiently remove the iron and manganese before it got into the PFAS treatment system. We just completed construction of the phase 2 wastewater treatment plant upgrade. We completed the design of the phase 3 upgrade, and if the capital budget request is approved, then we'll put that out to bid and start doing that phase. And we completed phase 1 of the sewer system rehab and design of the phase 2, which will be bid sometime this month. That involves relining the sewer with it's kind of an interesting, innovative process, but they basically put a sleeve inside the sewer, and it's like a felt-lined sleeve that is impregnated with a fiberglass epoxy, and then they put hot water in and it cures it and seals it up. And then they send a little robot in that cuts out all the house service connections. We have obtained a number of grants for energy improvements in the town. The PFAS treatment we had a grant for, and for the sidewalk. So there were two capital issues that we really hadn't, when I put the original capital budget together, we didn't have all of the information on these two projects. So I've updated it and wanted to review them here. West Main Street Bridge has been a long, frustrating project. We had an original design concept, but Mass DOT gets involved, and they think that building the little bridge over Nonnacoitious Brook is the same as building a bridge over Route 495. So by the time we got through their whole process and bid the project, it came in at a little over $2.5 million. So if we look at the total project cost, including design, construction administration, contingencies, we would need a funding of about $3.17 million. We've town appropriated $1.2 million, and then we got a $500,000 small bridge grant. So obviously we're a little short on funding. So at this point, I'm recommending that we hold off on doing anything until we can fully evaluate the options and rebid it. So we're looking at so the options would be to either appropriate more funding and rebid it as designed. We had an engineering firm look at some ways to reduce costs, and I think we should look at that, which would we'd modify the design, reduce costs, rebid, and then appropriate additional funding at future town meetings. So that's my recommendation. I'm not sure if I had another slide with the options. Yeah.
Mark, while you're looking at that, can I ask a question? This is Pat.
Sure. Yep.
In the context of that particular task, the bridge, what is the expected life cycle of what we have? I mean, the longer it takes us to do this, the better chance there is of some kind of an environmental long-term age fault. Where are we in that process, in your opinion?
I think keep your fingers crossed when you go to bed at night. It's the bridge.
Don't
has been
sleep
there.
under the bridge.
The bridge has been there for a long time. I don't think there's any issues with holes in the deck evolving because of the way the deck is designed. But structurally something could happen if we had a big storm and we had a lot of scour from the brook or something like that. But it is in poor condition and it needs to be replaced. But I think if we wait another year, I don't think that's a huge problem. I don't know if you had that same feeling, Dan?
Yeah, no, you said it right.
Yeah. I think when we're looking at the cost of this, if it's really a $3 million project, I think we need to really look at, is there some alternatives? We started down one road and it just kept expanding and expanding. It took over a year for the Mass DOT to approve it, and they kept adding more and more cost to it. One of the significant costs on that is that we have staged construction so that we could maintain traffic while projects under construction. And based on the bid prices, that was about $750,000 to do that. So, one of the options we could look at is to require a detour. That's probably from a public safety point of view, not a great idea. And from a resident's convenience point of view, also not a great idea, but it's something we can look at and see if there's some ways we can do that. They did what they called the Fast 5 bridges on 93 about 5 years ago, and they were doing a bridge in a weekend. But it was it's expensive to stage that and do it, but that's something we can look at. The engineers that did a quick peer review looked at the foundation design, and that was something that Mass DOT kept adding on to that made it more expensive. And they figured if we did some foundation design changes, we might be able to save $200,000 to $400,000. Or we could just look at a whole different type of bridge design. Instead of a precast concrete bridge, there may be a way we could do it with a steel beam bridge or some sort of a arched culvert or something like that. So those are what we're going to look at, and what I recommend is that we wait until some future town meeting, and we have enough money to look at the design and redesign it, and then we can come back to the capital committee.
Yeah, I agree with you. We nowhere near where we are planning on going or where we can go. Your recommendations sound great to me. We have a little time to reevaluate, modify, and rebid, whatever those terms you mentioned. Another year would give us that time, and I definitely think we should wait.
Okay.
I think we should try and do our best. James, I agree with you. But I think we should try and do our best to understand what is the end of the analysis timeframe and the beginning of the got to do something timeframe.
Yep.
If that's possible.
Yeah, and that's something we can include as part of this when we're looking at alternatives and redesign. So the next issue, I had a placeholder, I think, in the in my capital plan. So we were recently awarded the West Main Street MassWorks grant, which is great because it's a big project, and we're getting about a $3.2 million grant. But we do have some matching fund obligations, and that totals. I'll get to that on the next slide. It totals about $375,000. But the project includes we're going to run a new water main from Rogers Street down Scully Road, then onto West Main Street down to the Verbeck Gate at Devon's, and we'll have an interconnection there. We'll put in a meter vault so that we can supply them with water in emergency, and they can supply us with water in emergency. And we do have, right now we have an interconnection there, but it's not a formal interconnection. It's not reliable, and I'm not even sure if it actually works. And then we're doing drainage improvements, new curbing, new sidewalks, and repaving the road. And we have a shared use path that will run down to Jackson Road, and that's primarily the Devon's component of this. There's some work at the Verbeck Gate that we're going to do, and then the Jackson Road shared use path. So the grant is for $3,164,000. We're committed to $375,000 for the local share. Devon's local share is $275,000, and so our local share is based on $50,000 for engineering, $25,000 for bidding, and $300,000 for construction. The engineering and bidding needs to be done before. Well, we have to actually award the contract before the end of this fiscal year. So we have some money in a couple of our other budgets. We can take money out of Chapter 90 and water improvement projects to fund the engineering and the bidding costs. The $300,000, we could do the same thing. We could fund some money out of the water main replacement, stormwater upgrades, and road paving annual funds that we use. But then that subtracts from other projects we're trying to do. So what I've modified the budget to request consideration for capital funding of $50,000 for this project for stormwater, $50,000 for paving, and $100,000 for the water main.
Mark, this is Robert.
Sure.
One more time, 50,000.
Yeah, go back.
So 50,000 in the stormwater upgrade budget, 50,000 in the annual paving budget, and 100,000 in the water main budget.
Okay, thank you.
One question, what is, that was the grant they talked about in the voice 3.1. Is this the grant you're talking about for West Main Street?
West Main Street, right.
That's one in the same. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see, where am I? So for here's the 5-year capital plan for the engineering division, which is kind of where we tuck in projects that don't really fit into another division or include stuff related specifically to us. So I'll just, as I go through this, I'm just going to go through the FY22 projects, but if you have any questions on the other projects, you can let me know. But for FY22, the project we have here is continuing to upgrade the decorative lights on Main Street. We had $70,000 in the FY19 budget, and I think we replaced a total of 9 lights. And let's see, I have that on here. So you can see, in some places, and we did fix that one that was missing. We put a new light in there, but a lot of the lights are getting a little old. We've replaced about 2/3 of the old lights. We have some poles that are the bases are corroded. We have a total of 15 that need to be replaced, and so this budget would do the next 8 worst poles in town. And the budget's based on the budget that we had for the last bid. So the highway division for FY22, we had started appropriating $150,000 to augment our Chapter 90 paving money. That's been a big help. But you can see in FY22, I added another $50,000 to this year's budget for the West Main Street road paving local share. You can also see under item 6, West Main Street bridge replacement. I put placeholder in there, but I think at this point we'll have to see where that comes in at one of the other fiscal years. So on the road, the justification on the road paving budget, we get about $245,000 from Chapter 90. They have a little formula that they use. We have a townwide, what we call pavement condition index of 72, which actually isn't horrible. You really want to be in about the 80s. So we've made some progress, but as you can imagine, every year the roads get a little worse, especially the bad ones get worse. And we have a repaving backlog of about $4 million. So if we wanted to bring everything up to 100% PCI, it would be about $4 million. And depending on what we do, the range costs from $25 to $75 per foot. We did Washington Street last year, or this summer, and that's probably a little more expensive because we put down we reset some of the existing granite curbing, put in some new granite curbing, new sidewalks on both sides, and then from Highland Street, or from Cambridge Street down to Main Street, we put in concrete sidewalks. So that was a little more expensive project than if we went out and repaved, say, High Street, which we're planning to do in the spring. But that's about the general range. And we have a spreadsheet that has all the costs put in them. Some of the project. Yep.
Excuse me, but I'm
sure.
You have the PCS 72 out of 100. You said it should be 80. We got a backlog of 4.1. We spend 150 to 200,000 a year doing this.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to catch up in our backlog? It seems to me like we're in a perpetual case of being behind. Trying not to get farther behind.
I think we've been working with Mass Municipal Association to convince the governor that he needs to appropriate more money, because I think they generally do about $200 million a year for Chapter 90. Occasionally, I think in the years that I've been here, I think they've increased that, done special increases twice. But I think that's going to go up to 300 million. That keeps getting pushed. It may not happen this year now with the COVID issues, but yes, at some point we need to look at the how do we develop a plan and fund it. One of the other issues that we have why this is somewhat manageable is that most of the roads with bad pavement also have bad water pipes and drain pipes. So what we don't want to do is go and repave William Street
Yeah, and then dig
and
it up
then
again.
say next year we're going to have to replace the water main. So that's why, for instance, High Street is on the list there, because we just replaced the water and drainage on that. West Main Street, well, I added that because that's one of the projects we're doing, the MassWorks project. Mulberry Circle is another good one where the infrastructure is fine out there, the water, the sewer, the drainage, the sidewalks, but the pavement has it's not the lowest PCI in town, but it could use some paving. And one of the other things I try to do on the paving plan is we don't want to just go and pave all the streets up behind Town Hall. We like to kind of do it neighborhood by neighborhood. And so Mulberry Circle's a roadway that's in fairly poor shape and but would be fairly cost effective to redo. And there's some other roads over on that side of town that we'll need to hit. But Dan and I started looking at our road repaving, and we just are updating our pavement management plan, and we have a new software product that we're going to be inputting all the data in that makes it a lot easier to look at different budgets for different projects.
That's good. I have a question. So is the repaving backlog a perpetual backlog that will never get to zero? I mean, is there a point where the two curves intersect at some point in the future, or is this just kind of an artifact of the process, and there will always be some backlog regardless of town PCI?
Is everyone else getting static, or is it my headset?
No, what's that?
All right, let me take this off.
Can I just ask about West Main Street? Is that
Yeah.
really going to be ready to repave and everything? All that work is going to be done next year?
Rich, this is Robert. The issue is with the MassWorks grant, we're required to award the contract by June 30th of 2021. So not all of the work will necessarily be done,
Okay.
but we have to award the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And as you know, in order to award the contract, we need to have, the contract has to be funded.
Yep.
And then Mark Wetzel, the question from Pat Diamond was, will there be a perpetual backlog?
And what I wanted to ask also tie into that, if we added 75,000 per year, will we get there in 8 years?
Good question. Good question, Stephen.
I
I mean,
think
some things have a backlog just because of the very nature of them requiring a perpetual investment. And that's understandable. It's just when you look at this, it's like, we're spending $200K a year trying to wipe out a 4.1 million backlog. That's going to take
it does.
several children's worth of generations.
I think we're going to be getting a better handle on this once we get this new software up and running, because we can plug in different scenarios. Because one of the things that happens is as we're repaving roads. So for instance, on Washington Street, we had to do what we call a full reclaim and repave. Whereas on Mulberry Circle, we'll do what's called a mill and overlay. So it's a lot less per foot. And then we can get back to doing other maintenance things like crack sealing or what they call a fog seal that will also extend the maintenance life. So we're spending a lot of money per foot now, but as we start making progress, the per foot cost will go down. And with the new software, we'll be able to plug in different scenarios and see what we want to do.
So does that mean that the repaving backlog dollars are based on some per foot formula that exists today? But if we begin using new processes and more advanced mechanisms, the per cost model that's in this backlog could shrink, so the backlog could go down.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so next. Okay, there we go. So the stormwater capital plan, what we've been doing for item number 1, storm drain upgrades, we've been including that in the operating budget since that's an ongoing annual cost. Same with culvert replacements. I don't know why I colored that. Oh, because those are what we call recurring costs. I put the 50,000 in for the West Main Street Mass Works grant for the stormwater, and but I took these 2 recurring costs out, so the capital plan would be 90,000, and I'll walk through the this project with the stormwater assets plan. So so Dan applied for a grant for developing a stormwater master plan. This is something we've been talking about doing, and it really came out of the resiliency plan that we, we're what we call an MVP, municipal vulnerability preparedness community. So out of our MVP plan, this was rated as a high priority project. And basically what it does is looks at our stormwater system. What's the condition of it? What are the restrictions in it? What are the future conditions that we may have to deal with, and how do we improve those? Right now it's pretty easy to pick the improvement projects because we have a lot of pipes that are in bad shape, and we just say, yeah, we'll fix that one. But we don't know whether, if it's a 15-inch pipe, if we replace it with a 15-inch pipe, or if we ought to put in 2 12-inch pipes instead, or an 18-inch. So that's what will come out of this plan. And it's a $121,000 project. We get 60% grant for it. We do have a commitment to make a 40% match plus in-kind services. That would be, Dan, myself, and some of the other staff working on the project and keeping track of our hours. So that's what this capital request is for. Now we move on to our water and wastewater request. So the proposed water division, again, we have our annual water main replacement costs. I think we put in the budget 250,000 and increasing in future years up to 300,000. I added another 100,000 for the MassWorks grant. And then we also need, we have a utility truck with a plow that we need to do. Just to give you a little overview on the annual water main replacements, why that's important. If we budget about $200,000 to $250,000 a year, depending on where it is and what kind of what size the pipe is, how many services we have, how much.
What is that noise?
What's that? Oh. So our project we're looking at for this year would be Wright Road, Rosewood Ave, and Whitcomb Ave, depending on how much money we have and how the bids come in. Wright Road and Rosewood are 2 roads that we've had a number of leaks on the existing water mains. So that results in loss of service, overtime costs, and potential contamination. So that's why we move those up. Whitcomb Ave is just a short dead end that we'd like to pave the road, so we want to replace the 120. We do this with in-house engineering, and if we can find grants, we apply for them. This picture down here shows what the inside of an air pipe looks like. The West Main Street MassWorks funding, as I mentioned, the grant requires $300,000 for a local share. The total estimated water main cost for this project is $850,000. So that's where I'm requesting $100,000 towards that part of it. It's about 3,200 feet of 6-inch and 8-inch unlined cast iron pipe that we would replace with. I think, are we doing 12-inch, Dan? I think we are.
Yeah, correct.
And, we get a lot of water quality complaints down at that end. And then the second interconnection with Devon's, I think, is really, really important for the reliability and resiliency of the town. That's a pretty main part of the system, and it's a big, long dead end. And we're also looking at part of the purpose of the MassWorks grant is for redevelopment opportunities in the West Main Street area and having a new water main down there.
Mark, this is Robert. Just to clarify, the second interconnection, though that interconnection is only for emergency water issues.
Correct.
In other words, it's not an interconnection where we're sending water on a regular basis to Devon's or vice versa.
We have a similar one at Barnum Road.
Right.
And the way that it's set up is the only way that can be turned on is if both communities agree to it. And depending on what the need for, how we pay for the water. So it's set up so we can supply them and they can supply us.
Yeah.
Hydraulically, the Barnum Road location isn't optimum. It was easy to make the interconnection. It was important to do it because of the PFAS issues that we had if we had an emergency. But hydraulically, it's not quite as good as down at this location. This just shows the location. We're connecting at Rogers and run down Scully Road. That'll give us an opportunity to do some improvements on Scully Road, which I think will make Robert and Carly life a little easier, because we get complaints about traffic and things down there. And then we'll run right down to the Burbick gate. And then the water utility truck, it replaces a 2003 truck with 128,000 miles on it. It's one of our frontline vehicles for responding to emergencies and water main leaks, as well as for plowing. And we have the price for that is based on the.
All right, we figured out enough to get these invoices paid. Okay?
Is that a question?
Is there a question, or maybe that?
Muted. All right.
Journal entry 342, 24, and then journal entry 362, which is the main.
So then for the wastewater division, I'll walk through these different categories. So the sewer infiltration removal, with the age of our system and the type of pipe, we did an II investigation. We had a lot of high inflows from leakage. We have roots, we have structural damage. We estimated it was about 1 million gallons of flow to the wastewater treatment plant. We bid the first contract and completed that pretty successfully, and so we're designing the second contract, and we want to keep going with a third. So
Mark, what is the period for that 1 million gallons? Is that a day, an hour, a month, a year?
it's 1 million gallons a day under certain conditions. So it's not a million gallons a day every day, but it's 1 million gallons a day during wet weather conditions.
Like yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday might not have been that bad, but if we had yesterday happening back in the spring when the groundwater table's higher, then we would definitely have that. And it usually lasts for 3 or 4 days. We see a big surge. And you can see some of the issues we found in our pipes where we, here the top of the pipe's broken off. We have a lot of cracks in, I don't think I have any root pictures on here, but a lot of these are plugged with roots. And that's where the water squirts in. And so based on our study that we did, you can see the number 5 ranking was pretty bad. I should update this with last year's work, but you can see we've got a lot of pipes in in the 3 to 4 foot range, primarily 4. And so we're working on getting that cleaned up. And then here's just some cost estimates that the engineer broke out for. And you can see I've kind of lowballed them at the beginning. The Sandy Pond Road one, we're hoping to get a grant for because it's pretty expensive. And, so I haven't plugged that in anywhere yet, but doing the different phases, we're kind of pushing this out a little bit. But I think we've been actually getting pretty good prices, so these prices might be a little bit higher also. Then the last project I have is the Main and Central Ave pumping station valve replacements. These are our 2 major pumping stations. And last year we had one of the check valves failed, and it cost about $40,000 to repair it. So we have 2 more at Main pumping station and 2 at the Central Ave. So we want to start looking at replacing those before we have a failure. And you can see it's not in great condition, and we get leakage, and actually the one that failed had the body of it had deteriorated some. Here's the last project: wastewater treatment plant upgrades. So we've been doing a number of upgrades. We just finished our 2nd contract. The first one, we did a lot of building system upgrades with some of the building structure, HVAC, electrical. We had an electrical room that didn't have any climate control, and we had all this fancy solid state control electrical equipment in it. And when a room gets to be 95 degrees, the equipment doesn't like that. So we fixed that up. We did some SCADA, which is our computerized control system. We did some repairs to our tankage where the concrete had been spalling and cracked. We upgraded the grit removal system. We demolished a lot of the old equipment. If you went down into the cellar of the treatment plant, it had all this equipment that was disconnected, but no one ever bothered cleaning it all out. So you never knew what pipes went where and what were connected to what. We did the construction of the sludge dewatering room that's ready for the dewatering equipment, which is in the FY 22 project request. Then also we had to do a chem feed upgrade. That's actually undergoing right now. That was required by the EPA because we had some phosphorus level violations. And so the chem feed upgrade should solve that problem. So the projects that we have remaining to upgrade the plant would be, we're planning to do the sludge dewatering system and sludge pump replacement. That's in this current project that's all designed and ready to go. Then we'll be doing aeration blower and system upgrades, instrumentation and control upgrades, some architectural repairs to the building, pointing up some brick, doing some roofing and things like that. And then if we have enough money left at the end, we'll build a small garage for the wastewater division so they can park their trucks inside instead of sitting outside. And so that's my presentation. I wanted to thank the committee for their consideration of these important infrastructure projects, and we can take any questions and make any modifications as required.
And Mark, you mentioned you were hoping to retire, I think, in 2021.
Yes.
Is there a succession plan in place?
There is one. It's not. We've got to work on the schedule of when that's happening. My contract ends at the end of this fiscal year, and then I have a transition period, and so we're working on how we're going to do that transition.
If you wanted to stay on, we'd be happy with that.
Yeah, Mark.
I probably wouldn't be.
Mark, this is James. I want to talk about something more pleasant. I was just walking down Groton School Road. Now, the water pipes, they put them on the south side of the street. Is that because they're going to put the sewer line on the north side?
On Groton School Road? Or
yes.
Groton
Shirley Road, I'm sorry.
Shirley Road. Yeah, so
Sure.
we'll run the sewer on the other side of the road.
Okay, because I was saying, gee, they should have put it on the north side because they wouldn't have to cut the street up when they connect, but that's the side for the sewer, right?
Right. And so
Okay.
we're gonna have to connect on both sides, and then we're gonna repave the whole road when we're all done.
Well, I answered my own question.
So
Thank you.
one of the issues down there with, that road has the lowest PCI of any road in town. The issue is when we pave it is how do we do traffic calming, because it is a cut through road. So we'll have some speeders going down there. So that's something, what we'll probably do in the spring is have a public meeting and talk about some ideas we can implement for doing some traffic calming after we pave while we're paving the road.
And Mark, this is James again. And
Yep.
this is something different. Don't forget the grumpy old guy's mirror down in there.
Yep.
Hey, Mark, I'd like to make a request. Can you distribute your handout to us so I can
Sure.
have the right numbers?
Yep.
Thank you.
I will, this is Robert. I will send this presentation to everyone, and it will also be put up on the town's website under the capital planning page. That's a good point.
Thank you.
Are there other questions for Mark or Dan, the DPW, based on the presentation this afternoon? I have just one question, Mark, under the water department, and many departments in FY22 have requesting vehicles, and I understand that there's a certain life cycle and that often sometimes you may be kicking the can or so forth, but on this utility truck, what would be the implication if we waited a year? I'm just asking, the question I'm asking all departments that are looking for vehicles.
I don't think there's a huge impact. It'll require some maintenance and things. It's been fairly well maintained in the past. I think that if we wanted to move that out, we could. One of the things that I don't have in the plan, but from talking to those guys, we have a small pickup truck for our meter reading, and it was brought to my attention that at some point we're going to have to start looking at replacing that too. So that's going to be in the next couple of years also.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the committee on any of the materials presented by the DPW?
Mark, thank you. I know over the last 10 or 12 years, boy, this has really become up to date. It's really nice. The presentations and the way it's presented, it is great. And thank you. I know it does only take you about 10 minutes, but we really appreciate the work you do.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Mark, I have to agree with James. It's extremely well done and very informative. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I just have one other thing I just want to point out that Mark and Lisa and I have talked about quite a bit, and those of you who are on the rate review committee know we've talked about this quite a bit. Under the wastewater division, our biggest challenge this year, the 3.8 million for the upgrades to the plant, and we've known this from the plan, and you can see moving in the future there's significant investments needed. This is needed. The challenge that we have is fitting this into the overall rates in terms of the sewer rates and so forth. And I just want to say that as we move forward as a town, of course, during this pandemic, we want to try to minimize increases as much as we can. But from my perspective, and I think Lisa and Mark would agree, in just managing expectations, there's not going to be a way that there isn't going to be an increase in sewer rates because in order to fund this infrastructure. So I just wanted to say that because we continue to make progress in other areas of not raising rates and so forth. We recently on the transfer station, the select board made a significant reduction on the business, the alcohol and licenses for small businesses. This is one area Lisa and Mark and everybody, the team always does their best, but it's a significant investment this year on the sewer.
But Robert, I just like to say, I think we always try to be as thrift as we can, not only during COVID. You know, we understand the value and we try to do the best we can for the taxpayers. That I know I do at all times, and
Right.
COVID or no COVID.
Yep. No, I do. And I think, as this committee knows, through the years, that Ayer, in terms of our water and sewer rates, the rates are at a value, and that's through a lot of hard work, meaning compared to other communities and so forth. I'm just pointing out, as we are committed through the select board to looking to minimize impacts, especially now more than ever this year. This is one area that it's going to be a challenge. That doesn't mean that we can't do something potentially, but it's just a significant investment, which is needed in the plant this year. Okay. So in terms of next steps then on the agenda, we have had all of the departments have presented their capital requests to the committee. And so sort of the next step is the recommendations of the committee. So on the agenda, we're proposing, scheduling the next meeting or meetings. And those meetings would largely be focused on the committee reviewing and deliberating and then taking formal votes to make recommendations to the select board regarding the capital plan.
And Robert, I'd like for us, if possible,
Yep.
to figure in a little time, just in case a particular department want to re-question, if we don't give them what they request, if they wanted to ask us something, if we can schedule a little time for that as a courtesy.
Mr. Stephen, excellent point, and you're correct. In the past, and for folks who are new to the committee, so at the next meeting, depending on how far the committee gets and so forth, Mr. Stephen is correct. We've done in the past is if certain requests are not voted to move forward, I let those departments know, and within reason at the subsequent meeting, if they want, give them an opportunity to address the committee within reason. That's a good point. So we've been meeting Tuesdays at 4. Does the committee, and I know we're moving into the holiday season, would the committee like to meet next Tuesday is the 8th, and to start the review process? Does that work for folks?
Works for me.
Works for me.
Works for me.
That works for me too.
So
I was like,
we'll plan for Tuesday, December 8th at 4 p.m. Do we want to schedule a second meeting, or let's see where we get at the end of the time on the 8th?
Well, if we schedule one, we can always cancel it. But if we don't have a schedule, we might have to do an emergency meeting. So why don't we just schedule it? And then at the end of next week's meeting, if we don't need it, we'll just cancel it.
Okay.
Let's do it the 15th.
The 15th at 4?
Yes.
Yeah, it works.
Okay.
Rich, does that work for you?
That works for me.
Okay.
Scott?
Yes, looking at my calendar, that works for me.
Good.
Okay, so we will start the review process then on the 8th. I will get everybody that agenda as well as the minutes, and we'll start that process. And as the committee knows, generally departments tend to be on the meeting anyway. So if there are questions. Okay,
That's good.
is there any new business that any folks?
I'd like to bring something up.
Sure.
This was brought up a meeting ago or so, but about that playground down at the town park.
Yes.
Barone
we-
Park.
Yeah, we've got to get that torn out of there. I don't know what it's going to cost or anything,
Mhm.
but the longer we leave it there, the more contamination is coming down. And I was down there today looking, and there's families down there with their little kids and everything.
Yep.
I'm just a little worried about it, that's all.
Sure. And Rick, forgive me, I'm not sure if you were on one of our meetings, we talked about this. As you know, we approved the funding last year to do the feasibility assessment for the removal piece. And that got delayed from the Parks Department, largely due to the COVID situation this spring and so forth. I have talked to the Parks Director since that meeting, and I will connect with him and report back to this committee. And I know that Mr. Diamond brought up at a previous meeting as
Yep.
well, the importance of just of what you said, getting this resolved.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, maybe we can put that on the minutes or on the agenda for next week, just have an update.
Okay. Yep.
Good.
All right. If there's no other new business, it's 5:01 PM. Would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Motion made by Rich Scotchless, second by Pat Diamond. Roll call, James Stephen,
Here,
Lisa Gabri,
Aye.
Rich Scotchless,
Yes.
Pat Diamond,
Yes.
Scott Hood.
Aye.
All right, Robert Pomprian, aye. The committee is adjourned at 5:02 PM. Thank you, everyone.